If you're a salon or spa owner working nonstop, barely paying yourself, and terrified to step away because it might all fall apart, you're not alone. Most salon and spa owners were never taught the business side of this industry, and that makes it feel impossible to get ahead. Welcome to the station, where we give you the structure, systems, and strategies to step into the CEO seat and lead like the legend you are. Hey friends, welcome back to the station, the place where salon and spa owners learn to grow, lead, and finally create freedom in their salon or spa business. I'm Bree, founder of the Beauty Biz Agency, and as always, I've got my amazing co-host Chandra here with me today. Hey girl.
Oh, hello.
How are ya?
Doing good. Staying busy, but all good.
So today we are going to dive into something that I think we all say we're doing all the time, but most of us salon and spa owners aren't actually doing it very well. So we're going to talk about goal setting. Here's the thing. What usually gets called a goal in this industry is kind of more like a thought. Salon and spa owners, they say stuff like, I want to sell more retail, or I want to grow my clientele, or I want to hit 100K this month. And don't get me wrong, those aren't bad thoughts, but they're not real goals. They don't give you or your team a clear target or a step-by-step plan that you need to follow. So in this episode, we are going to talk about how to set goals that actually stick, goals that are specific, trackable, and personal. We are going to cover SMART goals for structure, and then how to actually bring them to life with tools like vision boards and mind movies. I think where we miss the mark a lot, Chandra, is we think that hype alone is going to get people where you want them to go, but it won't, right? It's going to take structure and belief combined with a little bit of hype together, and then you will absolutely get there. Would you agree with that?
Oh, yeah, 100%. You need the action.
We've tried the hype before, right? It doesn't work. It doesn't work. Okay, before we dive in too deep, we want to share a huge win that we just got from one of our BBA members with you guys. So to preface this, when she first came to us, she was in a really, really tough spot. Her salon was not even close to profitable. She was personally generating over 70% of the revenue behind the chair, and she was working 6, sometimes 7 days a week just to keep like the lights on. That's it. She was exhausted, overwhelmed, and honestly, she was wondering, probably like many of you, if owning a salon was even worth it anymore. I don't know, but man, do I feel her there. I remember feeling that way for years and years and years. So we got to work and we created a roadmap for her to set up and implement specific systems inside of her salon. Fast forward to today, and it is a completely different story. She is now behind the chair 1 day per week. She has built and hired her dream team. Her salon is structured, it is profitable, and it doesn't need her micromanaging every detail anymore. And now, almost every single month, she gets to hop on a plane to go out of state and spend time with her grandbaby without worrying about her business at all. That freedom, that profitability, that team culture, it all came from one single decision. She chose to invest in herself, trust the process, and implement the strategies that we teach at the Beauty Biz Agency. So for all of you out there listening, I know that coaching seems unaffordable, but investing in yourself and your business, it is the best decision that you can and will ever make. Right, Chandra?
Oh, yeah, 100% was for me. So it will be for all of you.
Absolutely. When you think about the stories like this, what kind of stands out to you the most about what is possible when an owner finally decides to invest in themselves and they see that dream business and that dream life really start to come to fruition?
I think they just get stuck in the weeds for so long of just trying to keep the lights on, trying to, be stuck in that habit forever. And they don't realize that sometimes just some of it's complicated, but a lot of it's just simple changes that they can make that actually help them reach that dream business and help them get there. So I think that's one of the biggest things that we don't realize when we're in that position or when we're in that space is that we don't have to stay there and that we can get out of it and it is possible. You just need the right tools and you need the right help sometimes. So, yeah.
Yeah, for some reason, we just think that we can do it all on our own all the time. And we probably can. It just never happens, right? We get so busy, so stuck, like you said, and it just never ends up happening. And so Chandra and I have both been through coaching. We have both invested in ourselves and our business tens of thousands of dollars worth. And I honestly believe it is the best thing that I ever did in my business. Honestly, for my life. I'm just going to be really, really honest. It's what gave me my life back. Before we get into the right? So before we get into the thick of it, we got to say this. The truth is, most salon and spa owners, they don't actually struggle when it comes to setting the goals themselves. They struggle with setting goals that their team can believe in and that their team is going to rally behind, period, right? And this is huge. It's a huge, huge difference when you think about it. All your team hears is something like, our goal this month is to sell more retail, to get more pre bookings. Our goal this month is to hit 100K. That is not going to inspire anyone. I don't care who they are. In fact, it's probably a little confusing for them. If you just show up one day and say, here's this thought or this so called goal that we're going to try to hit, right? The reason that it confuses them is because they don't see a path in order to get to whatever thought or goal that you're talking about. And when they don't see a path on how to get somewhere, they are never going to buy into it. It's just not going to happen. It's the same with career paths in your studio. If they can't see that roadmap, if they can't see that path, it's kind of in the void. It doesn't mean anything. And when they don't buy into it, what happens? You, the owner, once again are left carrying all the weight. You sit there and you wonder why nobody seems motivated or invested at all, and you get frustrated, but you pick it up and you take it all on your shoulders again. This is a pattern that we see over and over and over again. It's not that you are bad at trying to figure out what kind of goals to create. I don't want you to think that at all. That's not what we're saying. Maybe it's just that nobody's ever shown you how to build your goals in a way that's going to fit your salon environment. At the Beauty Biz Agency, we teach owners to set goals in really two types of layers. The first layer is using the SMART goals structure, which is very, very important. And the second layer is visualization. It's either vision boards, mind movies, anything like that. Those are the two that we prefer, but anything like that. Visualization is important for energy and belief. That is what it creates. Chandra, when you do this exercise with your team, what is the difference in just throwing a goal out there or actually having a SMART goal created? And we're going to talk about what all that means. And then having the visualization part in there.
I think the biggest thing is they actually get behind it. They actually work towards it. They try to do it. And I think the other thing that's really interesting when you start doing this with your team is they don't even sometimes realize that they think they can attain those goals. They start putting stuff down on their board or in their mind movies and they're like, oh my gosh, wait, I actually could do that. Like they think it's just a fantasy. And so I think when you get them thinking that way in that mindset, and then you start helping them move in that direction, they actually just do it. It's like the craziest thing. Honestly, you don't have to keep nagging them.
Yeah.
They just do it.
100%. I think you hit the nail on the head. I think the structure, it tells people what to do. And then the visualization part makes them believe that they can actually do it, that it's actually attainable. And when you put those two things together, goals, they stop being something that you just write down and you forget about, and they become a part of your studio culture every single day, every single week, every single month, right? Okay, let's talk about SMART goals. And before people start rolling their eyes, which I say all the time, but I know everybody has probably heard about these before. They're specific, they're measurable, they're achievable, they're relevant, and they're time bound. But here's the thing. Most people have heard it, but very, very few have ever used it inside of their salon in a way that they actually work. A lot of the owners that come to us, Chandra, they've heard of the SMART goals, right? Because motivational speakers talk about it all the time. But when we ask them if they've ever actually implemented it or created them, they're like, well, no, not really, but I know what they are. And so just knowing what they are isn't going to help, is it?
Not at all.
Absolutely not. But let's go through what each and every letter means just so everybody's on the same page. So S is specific, and that means your team knows exactly what you are asking them for. Exactly. It's not just sell more retail because that is a very, very vague goal or a very vague thought. When you tell a stylist to sell more retail, in their head, that might mean, okay, I'm going to sell one extra bottle, maybe two this month, right? That is not going to move the needle in your business and it's not going to move the needle in their paycheck. But if you say something like, let's raise our retail per ticket from $10 to $25, now everyone has a very, very crystal clear target. They know what success looks like. And more importantly, they know what action they need to take with each and every guest. Specific goals eliminate all gray area, all gray area. Measurable, it means that you can track it. Pretty simple. But this is where so many owners miss the mark. You say things like, I want to grow my clientele, or I want everybody to grow their new client retention, or whatever it is. Okay, how are you going to know if that happened? How will your team know if they ever hit it? You can't just say things like that, right? You have to flip it into something that you can literally pull on a report or track and see data with. Like, we are going to reactivate 50 past clients in the next 90 days. That then makes that goal measurable. You either did it or you didn't. And that kind of clarity is going to build accountability. Chandra, I think when it comes to goals, the clarity and the accountability part is one of the most important. The for me is very, very, very important. Is it as important to you in your studio?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's the only way you can tell how you're doing. That's the only way to know if your goals or the things you're putting in place are actually making a difference, if they're actually working. So I think that's probably the biggest piece because you can set up all the other parts, but if you're not measuring it, if you're not tracking it, if you're not doing that part, then who knows what's happening, right? Like you need to have that in place for sure.
Well, and it's probably the last thing that salon and spa owners want to hear because we hate data and we hate numbers. And so we hear the word measure and we're like, no, 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 no. But it's really simple to do, but it is the most important part. Okay. The A stands for achievable. This just means realistic. And this, I think, is a big one as well. Because if you stand in front of your team with a goal that is absolutely impossible, you're going to lose them instantly, like immediately. If your pre-book rate is at 30% and you announce that it needs to be at 80% next month, your team is going to smile, they're going to nod, but inside they're thinking, yeah, right. Like, no way, right? And you, the owner, you just lost a ton of credibility. You really did. But if you say, look, guys, we are at 30%, let's stretch. Let's try to hit 40%. That's going to feel possible. It's still growth, but it's growth that they can believe in. And belief is what is going to fuel action moving forward. How many times do we see salon owners set unattainable goals, Chandra, when they are creating these for their team?
Almost all the time. This whole conversation just started making me think about that we did this with our members once. I don't know if you remember, but we did this specific exercise with them
Yes.
and the stuff that they came up with. And then when we started picking out, like, okay, well, how are you going to do that? And then they just are like, I don't know. I just thought that number sounded good. And I feel like that's why people have such a hard time setting goals this way because they don't really understand exactly what those words mean and how they're supposed to take those words and then put those into play, right? And so I was just thinking about it and I'm like, it was so funny because I'm like, how are you going to even do that? Like, I don't know. This sounded like a cool number to pick. And I'm like, okay, let's break this down a little more.
Well, and I'm going to be honest, this is something that I was terrible at in my ownership. You were probably better at it than I was because you and data and numbers and things of that nature go a lot better. I'm kind of a dreamer, right? I'm like, this is what I want and I'm going to go get it. And I do, I go get it. But sometimes I make it way harder on myself because I try to stretch myself way too much instead of doing it in pieces. And I think that's something that's really important for everybody out there to hear. You don't have to go from A to Z within 60 days. It's okay to go from A to H and keep moving your way on, right? That is fine. Everybody moves at a different pace as long as you are moving forward in whatever you're doing, whether it's a goal to get out from behind the chair, to increase retail sales, to increase revenue, to increase profitability. As long as you're moving, that is what matters the most. Okay, R is for relevant. And this just means that you want it to match the season that your studio is currently in. This is where strategy really comes into play. If you're in a rebuilding mode or season, your goals need to be about filling your books and keeping clients coming back in. If you are stable and you are steady, then you can stretch into things like maybe raising those ticket averages or building out retail packages and things of that nature. But if the goal doesn't align with what your salon actually needs right now, your team is going to feel that. They're going to know it, and they're never going to want to be a part of it or believe in it. They're going to think, why are we even doing this? And they are going to disengage very, very quickly. Relevance always creates purpose. And finally, the last one is time bound. Salon owners are notorious for this one too. If there is no deadline, there is no urgency. Someday is always going to turn into never. I want all of you out there to think about how many times have you told yourself, someday I'm going to get out from behind the chair. Someday I'm going to step into the CEO role. Someday I'm going to retire. Someday I'm going to do all of these things. And you look up and you're 12, 15 years past when you said you were going to do that. Someday it always turns into never. We see this happen all the time. Owners set very, very loose goals, and let's say in January, and by March, everybody's already forgotten, right? They set that Q1 goal and it's just forgotten. But when you are strategic and when you say by the end of this quarter, we are going to raise our retail ticket by $5, $15, whatever it is, that creates that urgency. There is a timeline attached to it. Your team knows that this is a focus right now. It's important, not someday down the road, but like now, immediate. Chandra, I don't know about you, but time bound for me is something that has always been very, very easy. I struggled with other things, but the time bound part has been very easy for me. But I do know that since you and I have coached so many salon owners, we see this as a struggle for people. Why do you think that is? And is it something that you struggled with?
I did struggle with this a long time ago. The thing for me is I have to set a deadline. Like if I don't set a deadline, then it really will just be up in the air. There is no sense of urgency. So anything that I do now, there has to be a deadline no matter what it is in my life that I'm trying to work towards. And I think with other owners, it's kind of the same way. Like you're just busy, you're behind the chair, or you're handling this, or you're handling that. And you're like, cool, let's hit this number. Great. I told everyone, now everyone go do it. And there's like no sense of urgency, or there's no like deadline or anything to measure anything or to go off of or do any of those things. So I think that it is hard for salon owners to stay
It
within
is.
deadlines, and we don't have the kind of jobs really that deadlines matter. There's a lot of different types of jobs out there where you do have deadlines you have to meet and things you have to have done or report or different stuff. And so I think for our job being on the creative side, it's like everybody's kind of just like, well, whatever. When it happens, it happens. It's all fine. As long as I can pay the bills this month, I'm good, instead of actually like setting deadlines for yourself.
This is funny, and this it kinda makes me laugh and giggle because when we first started our coaching program, like, I knew that in you because I coached you, right? So I kinda knew, but as we started with the coaching program, I was like, "Okay, we gotta get this done by this day." Like, we gotta I knew to put those parameters in place because I know how your brain thinks, and it is that way with creative people. There are very, very few creative people that work in that way, in that time-bound way and setting and prioritizing and organizing and doing all of those things. Very, very few. I actually did a lot of research on this, and psychologically, it rarely happens. So, if you're out there and you're like Chandra, it's absolutely okay. But I will say, when she did start setting deadlines to things, that is when she started getting her butt in gear and moving, and you could see it. And the cool thing about it is when you start doing that and you see the action that it brings, You want your team to be on board with that too, so you start holding them accountable to doing things in a timely manner as well. So many salon owners, just the choreography of timing with services, right? They don't even hold their team to a standard there. That can increase your revenue and profitability in your business by thousands just by holding them accountable to timing, right? Absolutely. All right. Smart goals matter because they take the vague someday stuff and they turn it into this is exactly what we are going to work on right here, right now. They cut out all of the crap pretty much. They give you clarity. And when your team has clarity, when you have clarity, everybody's going to get on board and actually start helping your business move forward. Chandra, do you feel like owners really, really go wrong with almost every letter in the SMART goal thing? I know we said the ones that are the most important, right? And we know that they pick numbers out of thin air. We talked about that. But do you feel like maybe because they've gone about it wrong for so long, their team just tunes out now almost instantly? And the owner really thinks they're trying to do something good, right? But the team is just out.
Yeah, I think I would say yes, they go wrong with almost every letter, and I think it's because they all sort of play off of each other, and it's like if you're not getting one or two of them right, then the whole thing is gonna fall apart, and I think that is exactly what happens. Your team starts to tune you out. They start to just think, "Well, whatever, she'll be on to the next goal next week, and this isn't even gonna matter." And so I think they do. And so it does take time. Like when you start implementing this process, you have to sort of earn that back from your team and let them see you in a different way. And it's not going to happen the first time you do it. Like you'll still be frustrated. So if you're thinking like, "Oh, I'll just do it right now and everybody's going to jump on board," and they're not going to. Like it's going to take maybe even 5 times, 10 times of doing it this specific way to get them to finally understand, to get it, to get on board, to get in line with it, to see that you mean business and that you're consistent.
I think as you guys are thinking of these goals, not just for the salon as a whole, be thinking about these types of goals when you are meeting with your team one on one, when you are creating their KPIs and benchmarks and all of those things too, right? Because numbers on paper, they are never going to inspire people. If they did, every single stylist or technician, they would hit their retail target every single month. They just don't because numbers are logical and people are emotional. And there is a huge disconnect there. The missing piece is always going to be that belief piece, though. Your team has to see it, they have to feel it, and they have to connect with it on a deeper level. And that, my friends, is where the visualization comes into play. And we are going to talk, like I said earlier, about the two tools that we use because they work fabulously: the vision boards and the mind movies. So, most people know what a vision board is, right? It's not arts and crafts, though. I hear so many people say that. Like it's arts and that's not what it is. It's leadership. It's leadership. And let me explain why. When a goal is invisible, it just disappears. We talked about that. It gets talked about in the meetings and then it floats away. But when it's visible, it stays alive. So you have to start creating these on something that people can see, right? You need, let's just say your SMART goal is to raise pre booking from that 30 to 40% in the next 90 days. And you're doing a vision board as a team. On that vision board, you need to get a screenshot of a fully booked calendar. You need 40% really, really big in bold print, like sitting there. Maybe you've got a picture of the team dinner or the education trip that you are going to fund when the team hits the goal. Put that on the board where your team's going to see it every single day. Don't tuck it back away in the broke room or in your office, but somewhere where everybody's going to see it, right? Even let the clients see it. We do this all the time. They ask about it. When clients know that you are working towards something, they like to chip in and help. They really do. They are there to support you. When you do this, the goal isn't just something that you rattled off at a team meeting and didn't mention again, and it's on this little index paper that you are carrying around. It is alive. It's in front of them. It's a reminder that this is where we're headed and this is where we are all headed together. Why do these work? Because the brain processes images faster and deeper than words. That is a proven fact. We remember what we see more than what we get told. Seeing the goal every single day is going to keep it top of mind. It's going to reinforce it in a way A number on a spreadsheet or whatever you print out is can never do. Chandra, what do you think is one shift that you noticed when either your team or a team that we've worked with can actually see that goal every day instead of just hearing about it once and then it never being mentioned again until that next team meeting or one-on-one meeting?
Just like you said, it keeps it top of mind. It keeps them thinking about it all the time instead of them just hearing it and then forgetting about it. And so it's like every time they see it, they start to remember, oh yeah, I got to make sure I'm doing this. I've got to make sure I try this. I need to be doing those things because they're busy too. They get busy behind the chair. They start talking with their clients. You told them to up their retail whatever, and it's like then they my client left, I forgot to talk to them about retail. But when you're constantly putting it in front of them all the time, they start to remember. They start to make that actually a priority instead of making it just be an after.
Absolutely. All right, let's talk about mind movies really quickly. These excite me so much. Like, these are probably one of my all-time favorite things. I actually use these in my personal life. My kids actually use these in their personal life. Like that's how awesome they are. I think this is taking it up a huge notch from vision boards. Those are great, but mind movies are basically a vision board on steroids. That's the only way I can explain it. They are short videos, usually 2 or 3 minutes long. You can make it however long you want, but don't make them too long. They are made up of pictures, words, and music that show the goal as if it's already happening. You want these to relate to your team. Even the lyrics in the music, they need to be very, very thought out. They need to mean something to everyone. So let's just stick with our pre-book example. We create these, Chandra and I coach and teach to create these on a business level and on a personal level for the salon owner. And then we do it as a team for your entire salon. And then we have the employees do them individually on a personal level too. I have seen so much change with this, but let's talk about that pre-book example. Your mind movie might open with a clip of a stylist rebooking guest right there at the checkout, right? Whatever that looks like. If it's retail, then handing retail, checking them out, whatever. And then you see teammates high-fiving each other, clients smiling as they secure their next appointment. Whatever it is, you want to make it magical and really, really speak to what that's going to look like. I don't know why these excite me so much, Chandra, but I think it's something in our brain, right? It's the way our brain works. Your brain literally doesn't know the difference between vividly imagining something and actually living it. Like, that's how our brain works. It's pretty amazing. This is why athletes, they visualize before every big competition. You see this everywhere. They see themselves either hitting the shot, crossing the finish line, nailing the routine, whatever it is. By the time they step into that competition or that arena, their brain already believes that it's possible. So their body just automatically follows. And it really shouldn't be any different in your salon. When your team watches that mind movie every day, even just for a few minutes, their brain starts to accept that that goal is now their new normal. And when that belief shifts, behavior starts to shift. And I think that's one of the coolest things that I've ever seen. Suddenly, it's not this big, scary jump. It's not, we're hoping we can do this. It becomes, this is what we're doing. This is what we're here to do. This is how we're going to do it. And it is very, very possible. That's, to me, Chandra, is the power of training the brain. And it's why combining those SMART goals with the visualization really changes everything. In your experience, why do you think that combining these two are so important? And I want to hear your opinion on vision boards and mind movies, what you prefer. I know you do both, but what you prefer more and what your team kind of likes doing or relates to more.
I mean, I think what was the first part of what you asked me? I forgot. I was thinking about the second half. Let me go with the second half. So,
Go for it.
I think, like with our team and with what I've noticed when we started implementing this with my team members, is that the mind movies seem to do really, really well on their personal goals. And so when we do their one on ones and we set their career path and we have, all of those those goals set for them, whatever their personal goals are. Those seem to work really, really good for all of those. They do work, I feel like, when we have the salon goals, but I feel like everybody's kind of running around all the time and in a hurry. So I noticed for us, having a posted vision board or having something where they're kind of like checking in on it and seeing it all day long tends to work really good. We use a salon communication app where everybody can communicate with each other like texting. So when we do create those mind movies, we pin them to the top when we're working on something specifically. So that way they can always just pop on there and see whatever we're working on at that time. And that seems to help a lot. And they like we have a vision board in our back room now that they created on their own, that is to get them to Croatia, because if we sell enough retail, there's our product company will send us to Croatia. And so they just did it on their own. Like, I feel like I don't even have to try anymore. I'm like, hey guys, you have this opportunity. What do you think? And they created how much money we have to sell every month. And they created their pictures of Croatia and of each other going to Croatia. And so now they're in the habit of it. And it's like, I don't even really have to try now. It's amazing.
I love that. I think it's awesome. And I would agree with you. I kind of said that earlier. I think the mind movies are definitely more personal. And so for personal goals, it makes sense because you want those lyrics to mean something. You want the slide presentation to mean something. And if you can get your team to create these and watch them every morning and every night, it's unbelievable what it can do. And it's really cool to watch them together if they will allow you to. I know some people are a little more shy about that, but you really get to know a lot about your team, or I think you do, Chandra, when you are watching these with them.
Yeah, they let me see, all of them let me see them, but they don't always share them with each other. There's a few that are like, look at my thing. And then there's some other ones that are like, no, I'm not showing this to anybody else. But I
Yeah.
feel good because they share them with me, which is great because then I can help them, work on those things that are in their video.
Percent. So, okay, let's talk about how we can actually turn this into something that people can start using in their salon. Because knowing about SMART goals and visualization, that's one thing, but the power comes when you actually put it into practice with your team. So let's talk about the 6 steps that you can start taking to implement this. We also have a training over this on our website. Step 1, pick one goal that actually matters. Start out small, right? Don't overwhelm your team with 10 different targets. Pick one goal that truly is going to move the needle in your business. Ask yourself, where are we leaking money, energy, or opportunity right here, right now? What shift would make the biggest difference for my business or for my team's income? Okay, so think about that. Make it very, very personal. Remember, it's not that we want more retail type thing. It's we are raising our retail per ticket from $10 to $15 over the next 90 days. Chandra, don't you feel like this is where owners kind of, even though they say they're going to make it more specific, they just don't. And I feel like they overwhelm their teams in the beginning. And it's because owners are excited when they start something like this. So they give them a whole bunch at once. But don't you think that just makes everything kind of scattered?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, just focus on something small, like what you're saying. Like that's really the best way to do it because then they get that consistency and you can continue growing it from there. And I think sometimes the owners don't even know how to get super specific with it. And I think that's part of the problem too, is they're like, okay, I want more retail, but how much more do I need? What do I need to put in place? And so it's like really break it down, make it easy for you. Because if it's easy for you to understand, then you can easily get your team behind it and explain it to them.
Absolutely. And I would say if you are just implementing this, you're going to pick your first goal, make it something that's going to make massive impact because that is going to excite them so freaking much. And they are going to be ready to rock out the next one and the next one and the next one. Step number 2 is always run it through that SMART filter, right? You have to take your goal and check it. Make sure it's specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. If it misses any one of those, your goal is not ready. I feel like this step forces you to slow down and make sure that you're setting your team up for clarity and success instead of confusion. So please use that filter. Step 3, reverse engineer the path. Remember, a goal without a path, that's really just pressure. So you want to break it down into actions. If the goal is pre-booking, that might mean refreshing the script that you're using, changing your front desk reminders, maybe some one-on-one coaching and role playing, maybe follow-up text, right? If it's retail, maybe it's more product knowledge refreshers, a daily focus item that you want to talk about, and always, always tracking whatever it is that you're looking at. But maybe track it like in front of everyone so that everybody can see. Chandra, how many times have you seen owners maybe set a goal but never connect the dots on how they're actually going to get there?
Yeah, almost all the time that
Yeah,
happens.
I think so too. Step number 4 is choose whatever visualization tool you're going to use. This is the belief piece. Remember, very, very important. And you may find something besides mind movies or vision boards. That's fine, but just do it, put it somewhere. Step number 5 is create a weekly rhythm. This is very important. Pick one day a week so that you can check in on that goal. Keep it simple. What's working? Where are we stuck? Who made progress this week? Who didn't? Don't wait until the end of the month to see if things are working. Weekly rhythms are going to keep the goal alive, and it gives you a chance to course correct before it's too late. This is all about creating consistency, and it is the best thing for you as a business owner. And then step number 6, don't forget to celebrate along the way. You have to do this. Celebrate the process, not just the result. When someone improves maybe their pre-booking script, celebrate it. When somebody raises their retail per ticket by $1.50, celebrate it. That's how you build a culture where goal setting feels rewarding instead of punishing. And unfortunately, a lot of our employees feel like goal setting is very, very punishing because they don't see how it works and they don't understand it. When owners only celebrate at the finish line, Chandra, I feel like it makes the team just kind of lose steam. But when they celebrate the little wins along the way, it changes kind of that whole vibe, that whole feel. Do you feel that way?
Yeah, 100%. We've really gotten good at celebrating the small wins along the way. I feel like we didn't do that before. And after changing to start paying more attention to that, I feel like it's huge because they'll see one team member hitting the goal and then they start trying harder. You know what I mean? So I think not only does it make your team feel good, they're being recognized, that motivates them. It also makes the team members sometimes that aren't doing what they should be doing, seeing that, oh, this actually, they're attaining it. Oh, crap, I got to step up and I got to start really trying because I want my name to be called out at the next one. Or I want, I don't want them to get ahead of me because I should be here. Whatever their thinking is, it fuels that. Right. And so I think that was something that we didn't realize that there was so much healthy competition in the salon until we started celebrating those little wins. Cause then it's like everybody really wanted to be part of that instead of just at the end, they hear the same three people every time who do what they're supposed to do. Right. So,
No, I love that. I think that's awesome. And I think it's really, really important. I think a lot of people do forget about it, not purposely, right? Just like you get busy, you do things and you just don't think about it. When you follow these steps, you end up with a goal that's clear and realistic, has a path built in, stays visible to your team, and gets celebrated along the way. That's what happens. That's how you move from we set goals but never hit them to we set goals, we live them, and we actually achieve them. All right. With that being said, let's move into our listener question for today. We went a little long, sorry. This one came in from Stephanie in Omaha, Nebraska, and she asked, what do you do when your front desk constantly drops the ball? I feel like I'm repeating myself over and over, but nothing changes. All right, Chandra, take it away.
well, I think the front desk is one of the hardest employees sometimes to train and get them in what you want them to do. But I think you probably need to create more structure for them. There needs to be more tracking for them as to what is expected, what they need to be doing, and maybe there needs to be more tasks for them that you can track and that you can check in on and make sure that they're doing it. Because if you don't have we do it for the stylists or for the service providers all the time. We've got more things in place that we're tracking for them, that we're making sure that they're doing. But the hourly people like that, the support staff tend to get forgotten. And I think we don't always put that structure in place for them. So we definitely need to have something for them just the same way we have for the service providers. And that way you can hold them accountable to what they need to be doing.
100%. I agree. I say document the process, whatever you need for them to be doing, document it written down step by step. Train them, don't just tell them. This is something that I think salon owners are notorious for when it comes to the front desk. They just kind of show them and expect, but they don't get trained. Our technicians are trained constantly on things. Our front desk has to practice too. And then always, like Chandra said, add in accountability. Systems only work if you check them. You've got to check them and you have to track them. If not, you're in big trouble. All right, guys. So here's what we want you to take away from today. Goals are not magic. They only work when they are built with both that structure and energy. Smart goals are going to give you the structure. They make that target clear, trackable, and realistic. Vision boards, mind movies, they give you the energy. They keep the goal alive so your team can see it, feel it, and believe it. When you layer those two things together, you stop setting goals that fizzle out and you start creating goals that actually shift not only the culture in your business, but that actually deliver results. So, our challenge to you is this: don't set another vague goal. Don't do it. Sit down, run it through that smart filter, and then decide how you're going to make it visible. Do it. And I promise you, you will see things that change. Remember, if you want help structuring this inside of your salon, we've got you. Head over to www.thebeautybizagency.com. You will find some free resources, coaching options, and ways that you can work with us more closely. Chandra, what would you say to the owner who's been setting goals over and over, but still can't seem to get traction?
I mean, I think I would definitely start using the SMART framework when you're doing it. And I also think that you should not overthink things, keep things simple and keep things easy, because I think that's where everybody gets lost sometimes is they try to overcomplicate this process and then it never goes anywhere. So follow the framework and just keep it simple.
Absolutely. That's a wrap on today's episode of The Station, where salon owners stop babysitting and start leading like the CEOs they were meant to be. If you love today's episode, do us a favor, like, follow, share, and leave us a review. Reviews help more salon owners find this podcast and let us know what's really connecting with you. And if you want to keep up with us day to day, make sure that you're following along on all platforms. Chandra, how can they do that?
Yeah, reach out to us on Facebook and Instagram at the Beauty Biz Agency. You can also find us on TikTok at the Beauty Biz Mentors. And make sure you tune in live the first Monday of every month at 6 p.m. Central Time, where we will talk about some awesome things and answer some questions on the air. So make sure you join us.
Absolutely. Until next time, set the goals, build the system, and give yourself permission to win. Now go out there, make bank, run the show, and ditch that chair. And as always, keep slaying those business goals with a whole lot of swagger.